So we're going to a ruin of an old farmhouse. It's been derelict for years and it's well, abandoned and pretty much falling apart. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there and we're getting pretty close. We can't really go in it because it's a very unstable structure and it's not very safe. As you can see, it has already pretty much collapsed. So there's a path on the left, and once we've passed those two cyclists, and then we can go have a look. Okay, now we go left. The road is a bit bumpy. A few weeks ago I already took some photographs here. As you can see, the fencing is down, so it's possible to trespass. So let's have a look. So as you can see, this place is falling apart. It's entirely collapsed. It's beyond repair. And well, this used to be the barn, I think. And that was the house. You can still see a bit of the chimney. I think this place burned down, because if you look at the timbers, at the part of the roof, it's all carbonated. So well, it must have had a fire at some point in the past. I don't know when. It must have been maybe decades ago. But well, it looks like it once burned down. So a word of caution before you enter a derelict structure. As you can see, it is pretty unstable, so beware where you're walking, and just don't go in there willy-nilly. So 2 weeks ago I already been here, so I kind of know where I can walk. Also, you have to walk on the rubble. As you can see, everything's a bit unstable. Well, and just hold on to bits where you can. Oh. Well, that part had a concrete floor made of pre-stressed beams with infill blocks, and well, that part has completely collapsed. Also, mind any potential glass. You see, it must have burned down. That's a IPE profile. That's a steel profile of the IPE family. Don't know if you can see it here because the GoPro has a wide angle lens. I think this was also part of the floor structure, perhaps. And well, as you can see there, that is a totally collapsed part. And here, mind glass. Oh boy. Just a single wall, about 10 centimeters. And these are the pre-stressed T beams. Those are standard joists. Nowadays they use polystyrene infill blocks for ground floors, but this is a well, a first floor, and there is a non-reinforced infill block, and then they cover it with a bit of concrete. And as you can see, the electric conducts are also still present. And well, this is it's really just hanging by the rebar. But I don't know if I'm going to go in because well, it's a bit of an unstable structure, especially if you look at the chimney. I know it's been like that for decades, but still it's I don't know, you just don't know what you're encountering. Also, here's a bit of floor structure. You see, this is also one of the beams. This is the upper reinforcement, the bottom reinforcement. I don't think this is a pre-stressed one, but one with regular rebars. Pre-stressed ones have strands in them, and those are a bit more modern. You see, can we stand on it? Yes, no problem. Well, and I think this must have been the living room. Also, something to mind is that with an old building like this, the ground floor could have been made of wood, timber, with a crawling space underneath. So again, sometimes the floor has already failed and you can see where the foundations are. So you have to take that into consideration, that you don't stand in a deep pit or something. Use a piece of the door frame. So I always recommend to mind the ground. But again, I don't trust that chimney. It's well, a bit unstable. Oh, ouch. Again, piece of floor. Let's see if we can enter. Also there is the floor structure visible. Oh, someone wrote help on the wall. And this looks like granito. Not concrete, but something a bit similar. It's kind of like an Italian sort of stone stuff. Well, this is some old door that's completely gonski. As you can see, cheap cardboard door. Well, that used to be some kind of stove. But what I find interesting is that this farmhouse has concrete floors. With a building like this, you would expect timber. Oh, hey, that's where the stairs have been. Well, and you don't want to step into there. Another small room. No, I don't know what that is. It looks like a frame of an old bed or something. Oh, hey, a sliding door. That's fancy pantsy. I think this was the main living room, judging by the looks of it. Anyway, this is not a particularly old farm, as you can see. The wall structure, it has a cavity in it. No insulation though, but it's well, just a cavity wall. Calcium silicate bricks. You can recognize those because they're white. That's not concrete or fire brick, this is calcium silicate. Still, that's a very modernish building material. They still use that today. So I think this farm may have been built in the 1950s or so. It just doesn't look that old if you look at the structure. And this used to be a, well, basically just an internal cabinet. Yeah, oh, that, yeah, this is a also a type of concrete, very lightweight, very modern material. It's air aggregated concrete. It's well, it's not really concrete, it's cement with aluminium powder, and well, that's sort of expanded and autoclaved. It's an autoclaved material, and it's very lightweight, and well, they use it for internal separations. Again, a modern material. This actually looks like brick. Yeah, this wall's just fire brick with plaster. But the outer, some parts of the outer walls, that's really just calcium silicate. And you see, the frames have been deteriorated. Well, I think that's about all she wrote. Well, there's not a staircase left. And well, I just don't want to step into there, because that was probably the basement. Again, an internal cabinet, very typical. Well, and well, just judging at that floor structure, it's well really modern. Well, they don't really use that anymore for floors, except for ground floors, but then they use polystyrene insulation. Nowadays they would use pre-stressed hollow cores, but in the 1950s or 60s this was fairly modern, and in some countries they still use that. And well, the ceiling has been plastered. And here you can see a bit of the internal structure. The infill, the unreinforced infill blocks are hollow, and they are made of a very lightweight concrete, very brittle too. And this is the supporting joist. But nowadays they are pre-stressed, but this one is not. So that was a bit of the inside. So I think that's about it. But judging from the looks of this must have been so much bigger. Well, and as usual with a fire, steel beams, they become really soft and they completely deform and they don't hold up the structure. And whereas some timbers are still, well, they're kind of intact, even though they have a bit of carbonation on them. If you have really thick timber joists, like glue laminated beams, they hold up really well in a fire, much better than steel structures. And here is a bit of a roof tile. Oh, this is from a fairly well-known manufacturer. Well, and those walls are not cavity walls. They were just solid two stone walls. But the actual house has cavity walls, which I'm not that surprised about. I've even seen cavity walls on ruins that were much older than this. So let's get out. But again, if you're walking in derelict buildings or even ruins, make sure you always wear hard-wearing shoes, because there may be sharp objects. And you just don't want to step into that if you're just wearing sneakers, which I did when I made some photographs here. So, oh, I have locked my bike. Well, and if you look at that estate, that's all new built, all very boring, well, pseudo-retro 1930s style housing that average people seem to like so much. I don't like it at all. I prefer modern architecture. like streets in the sky or with lots of concrete, but hey, people just like a run-of-the-mill retro style housing, I guess. Even though there's much more interesting things out there, but hey, the average person doesn't care about architecture, I guess. So that was about it. Let's see, I can still have a bit of a look around here. There's some cows. This little road ends into another road. So. Oh, and here is a bit of, I don't know, a concrete tube. Yeah, that's a sewer. That's a sewer pipe. Just a standard concrete sewer pipe. I don't know why it is there, but it's just there. Oh, it even has reinforcement in it, as far as I can see. Interesting. So, those are some cows. And they think, what the hell is this guy doing here filming? But yeah, actually a lot of other old farmhouses are being torn down because they expand the housing estate and they need to make room for that. So we can have a little drive here. Oh, in this case it's better to go on the left side. It's a bit shaky here. Well, if you think you can't go any further there, that's not true, but you actually can. But it's just a bit dense. So we're just sneaking past. Well, and as you can see, there's the main road. So that was it. I thank you for watching.